Hey everybody, today I wanted to talk to you about the pros and cons of art fairs for artists. So I just want to preface and say going to art fairs isn't necessarily the only way for you to build your career as a creative. There are many outlets and expressions that you can follow. Art fairs are something that I have experience with and can speak to from a genuine standpoint. And art fairs have been amazing for me, but I will also provide you the negative side or disadvantage of going to art fairs. So let's start with the pros because they're the most fun. So the pros and the advantages of going to art fairs, the number one thing that I get the most out of is the sense of community. I meet so many people who are in the same position as I am, or who are just starting out, or who are a few steps ahead of me, or people who are really well established into their careers, attending the same space as I am. And the benefit of that is just to build your network, a support system, a group of artists who will care for you and you can care for them. They also can provide insights and advice into different avenues and fairs, and potentially introduce you to curators who would love to work with you in the future. So I know for a fact that the artists that I have met during these fairs have been super supportive. We support each other in fairs. We ask each other to attend shows with each other. And that has been a priceless advantage of going to art fairs. And probably something I missed the most during the pandemic was not having access to that type of energy and connection that I miss so much. The second thing is that you never know who you're going to meet. So I've been at art fairs where the curator of the MoMA have showed up, where curators who have worked with Andy Warhol back in the 70s showed up. And you just don't know who's going to walk into your booth and who's going to purchase your work or who's going to potentially support your career. So being in that sense of possibility is a really exciting way to be and feel when you go into these art fairs. The second part about that is that you also don't know who's going to purchase your work. I have met some incredible people who I probably would never have met had they not shown up and walked into my booth at the art fair. The second thing about all this is that it's a great experience for your resume and your CV as an artist. So when you go to apply to other shows and other galleries, etc., they always ask for your CV. And so showing that you've been to shows and galleries and fairs and events that perhaps some galleries are familiar with is always a really great way to show how established you are as an artist. Plus, any experience going to this is never lost. I feel any experience you have in the art industry is a positive one. So those are the pros and the advantages of going to and using art fairs. The disadvantages and the cons of art fairs are, the first one is that it's expensive, right? So putting money up front, and a lot of artists don't always have a lot of expendable cash right away, can feel pretty much like a burden, and it feels like you're taking a chance on yourself. So putting your money on yourself is always a safe bet. If you've seen any of my videos, taking those chances are super important to your career, but you also have to feel confident that you're going to do it and that you'll do whatever it takes. And you're not going to let your fear sort of like wobble you. Now, getting there, and so flights, accommodation can be expensive, especially if you're going somewhere really popular like New York. Taking a cab, shipping your artwork, eating out. These are all things that you'll want to consider when you're saving and preparing to go to an art fair. The second disadvantage is that the fairs will take a commission. I've been to some fairs where they don't take a commission and instead you pay a fee, and I've been to some fairs where you pay a fee and they take a commission, which sucks. So be prepared that a commission will be taken off your sales. The third one and the last one is that there's always a chance that nothing's going to happen. So, and I want to reframe this for you so that it actually feels like a positive, but I will say that you're going to these fairs and not expecting anything. Like, I think that's the mindset you really have to have, because it's about being there and it's about like the entire experience altogether and you tuning into the energy in the moment that will support your career. But you may not make a sale. You may not connect with the people you want to connect. But what I will say is that you never know what could happen afterwards. Sometimes people take time to think about their artwork. I've also met people who have purchased artwork on the spot, but I've also met people who have contacted me for commissions later on down the road, and people who have purchased artwork from me later on down the road that I met that I totally forgot I had met at those art fairs. So what I would say is to you is that don't expect things to happen in that moment, but keep an open mindset for it to happen, if that makes sense. Some bonus tips on how to make these fairs happen for yourself is that there are a lot of fairs who will allow you to split the cost of booth, and go as an artist collective. So that way it's a little easier on the cost. And if you guys like each other, you can bunk together. But those are some also ways for you to work around it, because I do think from a personal standpoint that all art fairs are advantageous and a great way for you to start building your career as an artist. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about art fairs in general, please leave a comment below and I'd be happy to cover it in the next video. All right, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss a beat, and I will see you soon.